so very much, Cindy, for sharing Deborah's work. Our next guest is the author of With the Dog Star as My Witness. Recent poems appear in West Branch, Colorado Review, Blackbird, Waxwing, Third Coast, and Tupelo Quarterly. He lives in Texas Hill Country. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Fry.
Thank you so much for being here. Like Cindy and Kate both said, I'm honored to be here, and I'm grateful to be in this issue and to be with each of you. It was funny at the beginning when you read Kate's bio. She and I didn't initially know which one of us you were talking about because we were both born in Lexington, Kentucky, and actually in the same hospital, like 2 years apart, maybe 3. And then, as soon as I heard South Dakota, I knew you weren't talking about me, because I've never lived there. Like Kate, I'm going to begin with the work of another poet, and this poem comes from a book called The Taxidermist's Cut by Rajiv Mohabir. This is his first book. He has published 2. And I think that this is extraordinary, and it's the kind of thing that, there are lines in here that I wish I had read, or written, I should say. Borderlands. Take the bird alive and blind it. Keep it in a windowless room, or if there are windows, board them up. It's important that no light gets in, and that the bunting cannot dream its body. Feed this creature of God figs, millet, grapes, so it gorges and ingorges, unrecognizable. Drown the borderland in Armagnac. Snuff out the light in a snifter, so its belly and lungs fill with liqueur of the hereafter. When you put the songbird between your lips and bite down, veil your face with my mother's silk sari. Hide your gluttony from the god with hungry dog eyes who envies our nocturnal commotion. Taste the burst of liqueur flowers from the lungs on your tongue. Taste the entire life in the dark. Taste every man who has ever put me in his mouth. I'm going to read 3 poems. They're all very short. The one that's in Borderlands, I'm trying to make sure that's not my card. The poem that's in Borderlands is one that's from a series. The working title of that series is Some People Actually Inhabit Their Bodies. And it began by reading the work of Carrie Webster, who is one of my favorite poets writing right now. And I found myself copying lines of her poems out. And then I began writing poems using those lines as titles. And so the title of this one is Aren't You Listening Yet? The Body is Always Trembling. Not simply what the surface said, was striated, ligneous, incendiary, wayward, crooked as an almighty finger touching zigzags down. A lily, a bloom only after its namesake rain, was stalwart, lucent, inlaid, waterlogged, not wind-whispered branches, but a leaf's memory of. First astronomical light, visible by even a nearsighted eye, was stained, lithic, infrared, wayfared. Flame's filament in the flickerings between. And I'm going to read one other, and then one of these poems actually appears in my first book. I don't know why that happened, but it just kind of separated itself out. And that will be the final one that I read. This poem is titled How Kneeling Hurts the Knees, and is an elegy for an animal. Not all lightning rods speak when spoken to, and ghosts, the gravel bloodying their not knees, once peregrine, a pilgrim, always. In the blue, more haze than horizon line, the shrine for departed animals had a line longer than any other. Even the shades had shades in the shapes of pets, wandering far and wide in the footsteps of St. Francis. What's the pilgrim badge for an enlarged feline heart, when saints, now no more than their relics, pressed the stamped tin talisman onto stone? When we don't see you waiting there, we see you waiting there. And then this final poem is titled Wilderness Roses Incense, which is a line of Carrie Webster's. And this book, speaking of, I guess, shameless self-promotion, this book is structured according to the Liturgy of the Hours. It is, I kind of think of it as like a field guide to the bewilderment of being one of Christianity's queer discontents. I'm a preacher's kid, and so that kind of explains a lot, at least about the ongoing argument and conversation that I carry on on the page with with the tradition I was raised in. Wilderness Roses Incense. Godliness stopped chasing us after the hyssop was no longer found. Smoke suddenly misspelled. Now no more than a crooked few, scattered like the teeth of lions long extinct. Absent thunder, memories lightning through us, crossing snowmelts, streams, water falling on rock, the only almost human voice. Sift of pine needles, a music the elderly remember but barely. Before he hardened into he, read about but never before seen. Before she softened into, as if listening for a landscape beyond us, a boy ago, a girl. In the book, it was written we would know we had arrived when we arrived. Thank you.